You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
Welcome to the Hot Options Report, your premier source for insight into the fast-moving options market. Each day, we'll track down the products that are dominating the options chains and impacting your trading account, from Nvidia to VIX and everything in between. If it's lighting up the options tape, then you'll find it on the Hot Options Report.
All right, everybody, that music means it is time for your Hot Options Report for Wednesday, January 21st. My name, of course, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com, as well as from the Options Insider Radio Network. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And, of course, make sure you're checking out our friends over there at thehotoptionsreport.com, literally the wellspring from where all of this content flows out there. You can't beat the data, sure as heck can't beat the price. Thehotoptionsreport.com to kick the tires and light the fires as we kick the tires on this options market today. Was it a spicy day? The answer was it was decent. Cost you 556,000 contracts to break into the top 10 today. It gets us to our old pal Micron. Micron's been on a bit of the warpath of late, just rampaging again today, up another $24.11 or 6.6% to close at $389.11. Coming in at the number 10 spot today, the hot option in Micron, 32, almost 33,000 of the pars, the 400 calls. Average price for these, $4.33. Now, they got up to $3.94 earlier in the day, so these were looking a little bit better earlier in the session. But then again, you got to the end of the week. Are you down for a little bit of MU 400s? It's like somebody was. As we keep climbing to number 9, listeners, it's our old pal, the Amazonians, closing today $231.30, up 30 cents, putting up 569,000 contracts. For the number 9 spot, the hot option in Amazon today, 37,000 of the 235s. Average price for these, 78 cents. Got as high as 230 today, so you got a little ways to go. You want to get to 235 by the end of the week as we keep climbing to number 8. Our old pal Microsoft. Were they climbing today? The answer, most decidedly no. Selling off $10.41, closing $444.11, off about 2.3%, putting up 630,000 contracts. For the number 8 spot today, the hot option in good old Mr. Softy, 34,000 of the 4 halves. Average price for these, $2. So $4.50 by the end of the week. Of course, if you're buying these, you have to get to $4.52 by the end of the week to make that price break even. Listen, you like these, or would you be more of a seller of these? Looks like Paper was probably buying these, so looking for a little bit more explosive upside in Microsoft throughout the rest of the week as we keep climbing to number 7. Was there explosive upside in Palantir today? The answer was no, selling off $3.20 or nearly 2% to close at $165 and a third. Listeners, putting up 758,000 contracts for the number 7 spot. So number 7, we're already over 750,000 contracts. So a respectable day in the options market. The hot option in Palantir today, 45,000 of the 175s. Average price for these, 32 cents. We did get as high as 169.5 today. So again, if you were buying these, you looked a lot better earlier in the session than they do now, but got a few days left in the week as we keep climbing to number 6, listeners. It's our old pal, the Fruit Company. They've been having a rough year, gaining a little bit back today, up about $1, closing $247.65 today, listeners, putting up 895,000 contracts. For the number 6 spot, the hot option in the Fruit Company today, 82,000 of the 250s, the 2 halves. Average price for these, $1.34. Like they did get there intraday, got as high as 251.5 before selling off in the latter portion of the session. So these were looking pretty good earlier today. If you're still riding them, maybe not as good, But we'll keep an eye on these as we keep climbing to number 5, keeping it in the A tech names, listeners. It's our old pal AMD having a rockin' day today. AMD closing $249.80, up $17.88, or about 7.75%. Just a wild day, putting up 1.1 million contracts for the number 5 spot. The hot option in AMD today, 59, nearly 60,000 of, guess what? Closed near the 2.5 strike. It was the 2.5, sliding it up today for nearly $4, $3.93. So up to you whether you think that's too rich for your blood or just right. The stock got as high as nearly 253 earlier in the session, so maybe that colors your perspective a little bit. Would you be a buyer or a seller of those 250s for nearly $4, listeners? I'm curious. Hit us up. Let us know as we keep climbing to number 4. Another name that was climbing again today. This Intel run this year so far has been fairly impressive. 54.25 is where it closed today, up $5.69 or 11.75%. My goodness, what a ride in Intel it has been over the last few months, putting up 1.3 million contracts for the number 4 spot today in our countdown. The hot option in Intel today, 62, almost 63,000 of the March 60s. Once again, someone going out all the way to March and all the way up to the 60s. Today they're trading for 373. This was more opening flow. So once again, some folks are discovering this March 60 strike. Seemed kind of outlandish yesterday. Of course, on the back of today's move, nearly 12%. Not looking quite so crazy if you were able to scoop these earlier in the session, listeners. As we keep climbing to number 3, it's our old pal. Used to be called the Widowmaker. These days, call it what you will. It's Netflix. 85.36 is where it went out. Off nearly $2 or a little over 2%. Putting up 1.6 million contracts for the number 3 spot out there today. And we were talking yesterday about people rolling the bones on the pars, the 100 calls. We said immediately during the show, those are not looking great if you were buying those after all, because the stock was selling off in the after hours, and that was indeed the case today. Obviously, 100, a long way to go. The hot option out there today, a little bit more reasonable, 71,000 of the 85 calls. So in the money calls still, expiring at the end of the week for about almost 90 cents. Stock hit 86 briefly today, so these were at one point $1 in the money. So maybe that colors your perspective on these as we keep climbing to number 2. You know what it is, listeners. It's Tesla roaring back to life today as well on the heels of apparently a detente over Greenland. We shall see. Tesla closing up $12.19 or about almost 3% to close at $431.44. Putting up 1.78 million contracts. So the number 2 spot, the hot option in Tesla today, 99,000 of the 420s, a Tesla appropriate strike. If I do say so myself, the average price for these, $10.31. And obviously they went out almost $11.50 in the money. So that price right now, obviously looking pretty good. It's like paper might have been selling these though. So it could be a little bit of a fade going on, in which case maybe they're wearing it a little bit today. We'll keep an eye on these. This was opening flow. As we keep climbing to the number 1 spot, it's our old pal, Nvidia, coming back to life out there today as well. Closing 183.13, up $5.11, or nearly 3% today. Putting up 2.38 million contracts for the number 1 spot, regaining its crown again at the top of our list. The hot option in Nvidia today, 175,000 of the 185s. Average price for these, about $1.25. We did get there earlier in the session, topped out at 185.38. So these, once again, we're looking a little bit better than where we closed at the end of the day. We'll keep an eye on these and see where Nvidia goes out at the end of the week. And that is going to do it for us on the Hot Options Report today. We'll see you back here for more content. And again, after the closing bell, another episode of the Hot Options Report. Stay safe out there, everybody.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.